Welcome back to the TWSN YouTube channel. Another team-specific mock draft for you guys today, and we're going to do the New England Patriots. And I can't talk about the Patriots without these two guys next to me, Aiden and Daniel, biggest Patriots fans I know. Going to kind of help me do a little bit of mock draft here. Daniel, we'll start with you. What are some of the needs that this Patriots team needs to fill during the draft?
Oh man, we got a lot, right? I mean, there's wide receiver, there's cornerback, there's linebacker, but honestly, my biggest need is, all right, I got a couple, but you need a cornerback one, right? You lost J.C. Jackson, no Stephon Gilmore last year, so I definitely think a cornerback one, and I'm of the opinion that you need a shutdown corner in a league. You need somebody to lock down an opposing, a number one receiver, especially with the lack of pure talent this defense has. This defense, isn't has never been a talented defense. They've always been built by this team. So their biggest need, in my opinion, is that cornerback one spot.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and we're using this mock draft machine, so nothing's not always gonna be too totally accurate. But here, the first round pick 21, I think I'm gonna go right away and address that corner position, like you said. And I really like Kyrie Elam out of Florida. Just really good man corner. He presses people great at the line of scrimmage and kind of just feels like a Patriot in a way. He just kind of plays and kind of has a lot of skill sets that the Patriots kind of covet at that position. And I think it might be a little early for some people, but I think he fits in kind of like a glove there in New England. And we're coming up on their second pick here at 54. What are we looking at here in round two?
Well, you filled cornerback, right? But you still got wide receiver. You got offensive line to fill. They lost both Ted Karras and Shaq Mason this offseason. You can still use depth at the tackle positions. Justin Herron has not developed into that backup swing tackle. You kind of saw the flashes of him potentially doing. So between all those needs, I think you just kind of got to look at best player available out of all those guys.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this board, and I'm sorry, there's one guy in particular I really like, Logan. A linebacker from Wyoming, your guy Logan Wilson on
Yeah,
the Cincinnati Bengals. Chad Muma, right?
yeah.
He's a player that many Wyoming players have said are even better than Logan Wilson. He's an inside linebacker. He's the captain of their team. He runs, he's not overly athletic, but he's a leader. And I think he can do it all. And with the Patriots team that really needs a linebacker, they need someone in that linebacking core. I'm going to take Chad Muma here. I think that he's a leader, and I don't know. I think he would be perfect with the Patriots.
I like it. I like it for sure. I mean, like you alluded to, really, linebacker is a weird position in the NFL. It's kind of very differently valued from team to team. Patriots do seem to value them more than others, and I think he would be a great fit there as well. Now, other pick in the third round coming up here at 85. Typical trade down spot if you're the Patriots, if we're being honest here, but we're gonna keep the pick for now. Aiden, you are up with their third round selection. What are you feeling? Let me know if you want me to go to a different
Ooh,
position or something too.
uh, yeah, I'd look at maybe O-line first. Again, I think that's a bigger
There's
need on the team
interior.
than some
Ugh.
some other people are looking at here. Honestly, look at offensive tackle too. I definitely think you got to look
Not the
there.
best group.
Um, no, it isn't. Obina Eze, I watched him last year, was enticed by his upside, but I think third
Hmm.
round that's probably a reach. You want to take a look at the wide receivers too. I mean, I think you got to kind of look every which direction here. Honestly, call me crazy. I could see them going with the Khalil Shakir here. Just that typical slot guy who has a fantastic feel in the middle of the field. And that's who I will go with. I'll
I
go with
like it.
Khalil Shakir to add some depth to that wide receiving core. Because, again, I really like his projection out of the slot. He brings some juice with the ball in his hands. Really smart receiver that can find those holes in zone coverage. I know a lot of people are really, really high on him. I wouldn't say I'm his biggest fan, but I do like Shakir a lot, and the Patriots need help in receiving core.
Yeah, Darren, how do you feel about your newest wide receiver, Khalil Shakir, or whatever his name is?
I like it, right? Aiden, Aiden, I trust Aiden's input, man. Khalil Shakir is, he'll definitely help, with the recent addition, Devontae Parker. I'm curious to see how he plays on the outside, but this receiving core has never been a number one receiver, right? That's why I don't think that they'll go with the number one receiver in the first round. So, you still got Jacoby Myers, you still got Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, James White out of the backfield. I like it because, he doesn't have to be that number one guy.
Yeah, I like that as well. I think it's a weird way to say, but I feel like they kind of go with the like quantity instead of like quality aspect in a way. But their quality is obviously still fine. They're NFL receivers. They're good tight ends. They fit good with New England. That's kind of what they always seem to prioritize. Now here in round 4, I think we kind of need to hit on the offensive line a little bit here still, but nobody's. There's a couple interesting guys. Obviously, Cam Jurgens, everybody kind of fell in love with him at the combine with his mustache and his beef jerky stories or whatnot. He could definitely be an interesting fit in kind of play. A lot of different roles. Arizona State's Devon West is another guy that can do that same thing as well. Let's go ahead and go Cam Jurgens. That's just fun. He's a little bit. I think he's got maybe a little too much personality for New England. Some might kind of say, but just in general, like we alluded to, they need some versatility. He can play center. He can play some right guard and left guard. Versatility is starting to be extremely coveted in the NFL in general, but it's always been prioritized on the offensive line. And I think it's he tested extremely well. Get a good athlete that can play a bunch of different positions. Kind of hard to really say no there. Coming up on pick 158, Daniel, who we like in here? Let me know if you want to change a position too.
Yeah, take a look at the cornerback position. I might be double dipping here, but there's so first off, before I go to corner, the defensive line at some point in the draft, I think definitely need to be addressed, whether it's interior defense line, edge, because that's what the Patriots love to do. They love to rotate defensive linemen. They love having the 5-6 guys that they can rotate. But I'm going to go corner here, and I'm going to be a little bit of a homer. I'm going Jack Jones. So yesterday came out, they're using a top 30 interview with Jack Jones. Jack Jones isn't slated to go until day 3. So if they're using one of those, means that they see some out of him. And I'll tell you guys, Jack Jones, I saw him the entire year. His biggest issue has always been, the personal things. He got kicked out of the USC, and then he went to JUCO, then back to Arizona State. But he has the pure talent to play slot and to play outside. And all you need to know about him, he's 5'9", but he went up against 6'4" guys. He went up against 6'5" guys, and he's an absolute dog, ball hawking guy. And I'm not afraid to double dip here at the cornerback position.
Yeah, I throughout my videos, I feel like I find myself double dipping a good bit, and it's just, I think it's a little better to double dip in some ways when it's an area of need, because like why not? If one person doesn't work out, or competition breeds success a lot, so. I think it's fine.
You're making some faces. What do you think about the double dip at the cornerback?
I'm fine with it. I just, I think there's some points. I'm totally fine with the double dip at cornerback because there's depth. You not only need that number one guy, which Kaiir Elam could potentially develop into, but you need depth at the position as well. I don't feel comfortable right now with Jawan Williams starting significant snaps for this team. I don't really feel comfortable with their depth either. Even if they get that number one guy, depth is still priority.
Yeah, well, Aiden, are we going to be triple dipping at corner here, or where do you want to go with this pick?
No, I'm not going to go that far. I would like to slide over to the offensive line and see maybe outside tackle for sure.
Some tackles.
Bennett Eze is there. I know Zach Tom is somebody that the Patriots have talked about. He's got some versatility to play all over the offensive line, which the Patriots love, of course. But Eze, I remember watching him last year and saying, watch out for him in 2022 as kind of that day 3 sleeper. Awesome athlete. I know he's raw. Again, he is. But I'd like to see the Patriots kind of develop him behind Isaiah Wynn, behind Trent Brown, kind of see what they can do with that athleticism.
Yeah. Isn't he like 6'8" or something?
Yeah, he's a big frame too.
I thought he was a big guy. And the tackle from Minnesota, kind of a similar build, going early. Falele from Minnesota. He's another massive body guy. So if he's he's huge. So maybe if you miss out on him, if you like him that much, you can kind of settle for whatever. What's his name? Eze. He went to North Carolina last year, right?
He was at. Well, I know he was at TCU, which is.
I think he might have started at North Carolina. In general, gotcha.
I do think there might have been a transfer in there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now you're getting to the position where you can kind of do a lot of different things. You hit on a lot of your
needs.
Your needs. Yeah. And now you can kind of. Not necessarily
go get yourself some late talent.
Yeah, I kind of try to find these are the rounds that New England notoriously hits on really well. So it's going to be kind of tough. You got to really find the sleeper. Maybe a punter. I'm just kidding. Not going to. Everybody loves their punter, Matt Ariza. I don't know where he's going to go, but everybody's going to freak out when he does go. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm trying to look at the defensive line like Daniel alluded to, that's something they like to do. Ooh, let me get Amari Barno from Virginia Tech. He broke the record for combine 40 time for his position. I think he ran a 4.34 at like 6'7", 200 pounds, something like 240. Like that's just insane. It's just an incredible athlete. That late in the round is I think it's kind of where teams look to take their flyers on, just athletic freaks. And there's not many people that really fit that bill more than him. But Daniel, who are we liking now? Are we going to double dip again into the edge interior defensive line? What are you liking?
I mean, there's a lot of different ways we can go. It kind of killed me that Wanya Thomas just went off the board. I don't know necessarily if the Patriots want a safety, but he's somebody I saw at the Shrine Bowl. He really stood out. He could play corner, play safety. He's a hard-hitting guy. He just got taken. So I'm looking. I like. So I'm gonna look at the bottom, and you guys can tell me. Tyquan Thornton. He's one of my favorite guys in this entire draft, the wide receiver. I'm going to hold off. If you guys like it, we can select him. But he's a guy, a straight line speed guy. He almost broke the 40-yard dash time. And he's a guy that, like you said, the Patriots don't need a number one guy. But he's a late flyer I can see being an outside receiver that maybe has a connection with Mac Jones. So I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on Tyquan?
Aiden?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it. Look, I'm not guaranteeing NFL success for Tyquan Thornton, but he is a sleeper I like. And this late in the draft, I give you that little fist bump because I was okay with potentially double dipping at the wide receiver position late in the draft if there's a good value, and I think Thornton would be a good value.
Let's go ahead and do it. And another thing that I think provides value. Like when you're this late in the draft, you have to find players that can provide value, whether it's special teams or just whatever. They have to find their role. And something Tyquan Thornton can do is he can stretch the field. And even if he's not getting the ball, New England loves to run the football. They do. But if they're gonna, push the safeties back a little bit, maybe give a couple more yards of cushion for the receivers or linebackers, it just creates more running lanes and creates more lanes in general. And I think that's just a little something that the Patriots can maybe take advantage of with some speed because they don't really have too much speed at the receiver position. So, we see a lot of teams do it. So we'll see. I believe that was their last pick. So guys, I know the Patriots are your squad. It's going to pull up bigger here in a second. How are you feeling about your haul here?
I like it. I mean, obviously I'm going to like it if all of us are, making the picks, but no, I do seriously dig it. I think you're filling in a lot of needs. And I do think it's very important that you look for talent first and foremost. You don't want to try to fit a square peg into a round hole. You're not trying to be like, okay, corner's our number one need. We have to take a corner. If a guy like Kaiir Elam isn't on the board and there's not a good enough corner to take a 21, don't push the pick there. But I do think they filled in a lot of needs and got a lot of good talent.
Damn.
Oh, completely, man. I mean, because if you look at this, there's not a lot of, that elite talent. The only elite talent is Kaiir Elam. The rest of the guys like Chad Muma isn't going to blow anybody out the water. But he's a Patriot type of guy. He's a linebacker, a captain. Like I said, I love him. And I love, maybe we could have went interior offensive line a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely is probably arguably, the biggest need outside of corner. But I like it. I think we added value late in the draft, too, with the big offensive tackle, and we also got Tyquan Thornton. I honestly like it. So if we can add this to the Patriots, there's no reason why they can't be fighting for the playoffs, folks.
It'll be interesting for sure. That's gonna wrap up this New England Patriots mock draft with some of my guests. Maybe they'll be back for other teams in general if you guys liked it that much. But again, thank you for tuning in on the TWSN YouTube channel. We look forward to seeing you guys on the YouTube channel again soon. Thank you.
Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now because it's the place that it all goes down.